Thank you. So I was invited to say a few words about this. So yes, I have to say, first of all, thank you to Tanya and to the team. I had the privilege of being one of the co-editors and co-authors of this new version of the ticket. Just a few words about the ticket. So what can you find inside? Who is it for? And so on, which it's also written in there, by the way. But just to share it live from me. Basically, the discussion we had in the very beginning when we got the task of updating the ticket was more about who should this be for? Because in our own experiences, we've worked with organizations for quite a number of years, and one of the things that seemed to be a recurrent thing in youth organization was the turnover. So the amount of young people that come in and go, and they come, they contribute, they stay in an organization, then they leave. There's this a new generation comes in. So that was one aspect. And the second aspect was the fact that very many organizations also want to work with volunteers. So with young people that come, they have an idea, they want to do a project, and they want to make it, concrete. And then the organization could support them, but the organization could also use such a tool to support them in order for themselves, by themselves, to think the project through, design it, write it, apply for funds if necessary, and then make their idea a reality. So this is where we said, well, it should be, first of all, a ticket for beginners. So either for youth workers that they just arrive in the field or they start working as youth workers in their organizations, or for young volunteers, young people in general from the neighborhood that might want to run a project. And this could be a way to, get their foot inside this world of project management. And then we said, okay, so if this is the case, this manual could have many things inside, could have briefly some theory. So there are the theoretical part is fairly short. So we try to really keep it to the essential. We also decided it has to be practical. So we have about 16 tools spread throughout the ticket. But we also wanted it to reflect a bit the reality that we have today in youth organizations. And obviously this will change in the next couple of years, but at least we wanted to make sure it's there. So if you would see when I say reality, so chapter 2, for example, is really referring to this wider perspective in terms of project management. And we looked at these 6 dimensions that you see there. So besides defining what the project is, what a youth project is, what project management is, what means for a young person to manage a project. So looking a little bit of those concepts, we said those things are also important. So you have obviously the organizational framework that we put there to think about, because a project will most likely take place in the framework of an organization or with the support of an organization. And we know organizations have their own cultures, their own values that they're carrying. And young people that come in and want to do a project, they should be aware that whatever values are in those organizations, they may influence the way those organizations run their projects. Just think about ethical considerations, for example, and how some of your organizations are really putting a high accent on specific things which you believe are maybe more important than others, right? Then youth participation, because we do, and with youth participation, we don't mean this generic active participation of young people, but more what we mean with it, and you will see a little bit more in details in the ticket, is more involving people, young people, in the entire process. So giving them the opportunity. So let's say you as an organization have a project. You want to involve young people, but then get them involved from the beginning. Get them involved in order for them to discuss with you the needs, to reflect on things so that they are part of that process, that they make decisions with you. Because this is the way we can engage young people to be part of the entire decision-making process, to see how it goes, to see how it works. If we want to have active citizens as an ultimate goal, that would be a way to get them involved and make them carry also the project themselves. So also create that agency that, we are talking about agency in the digital space. So agency also in terms of, putting projects in place. Then environmental sustainability was something that we absolutely wanted to have there, because we think that today we cannot think of projects without thinking about environment. And I don't think I need to go into the details of why. it's already clear. You could see also just when talking about digital and not the footprint, but the eco footprint, let's say, of digitalization, what it means. Cultural and cultural sensitivity. Why? Well, again, we are talking about projects at European level. Of course, this is also applying to local projects, but this ticket comes in the European context. So it was important to also allow young people, if they want to run projects, to think about the cultural dimension, the differences that could both be harmful but also profit the project. Well-being, and here mental health and so on is part of that process. So we also wanted to have a reflection on that, on how do we work and how do we run projects in a healthy way and not in a hey rup way, as we said, okay, let's go and just do it. No, let's think things through. So a few things also there to some suggestions, some challenges to think about and so on. And and some let's say some directions of what you could think of using in your project. And last but not least, and I think it is important, digital tools. And you will see, I would say, I wouldn't say it's already outdated, but obviously we didn't go very much into the details of it because it's an evolving field. However, as this was an update from the previous, so again, 25 years ago, we thought it's important to already start at least giving some tracks for thinking, for reflecting on possible tools that can be used, etc., etc. And then the content, the key part is the cycle. And here, as I said, we have the four stages that we defined. You will see if you go through it. And in each of the stage, we have tools designed. And for us, what is important is that those tools can be both used as they are, if you want, but we see them as a starting point. We see them as, okay, if you never thought that such a tool could be used, and now you want to use it, maybe it still needs to be adapted to your own reality. So it's not something something you shouldn't touch, but it's already giving you a kind of an idea of what you could do and how you could work at that specific stage. Would it be ideation? Would it be resource mobilization and so on and so forth? So that was the thought, and this is more or less the content of the ticket. We hope you will find it useful. And maybe, I don't know, for 1 or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, if you have any questions at this stage, I would open the floor to see if there are any things that we can maybe clarify or that you are curious about. So, up to you. Okay. Yes?
I am curious, but not about the content, but how come that you did the print edition? I actually like it, but the majority of people now are doing only digital editions, and I totally support that. There is also this.
Yeah, I think the answer should come from Tanya, probably, but I would tell you my own perspective. So, tickets, all of them, they have in the very beginning, they start with this intro, and it says, ticket could stand for training kit, could also mean ticket, like ticket to go in a bus and travel, and the dimension of training kit is, let's say, the traditional way of looking at tickets, meaning most of the tickets that are on the website are actually also including exercises. So as a trainer, you can take it, use some of those exercises, put them in practice. This is not the case here, because we saw it more as a handbook approach. So because of this particular thing, these being training kits, in my perspective, it's really good to, as a trainer, as I do work now as a facilitator today, but I also work as a trainer, it's really great to have this version that is printed, that you can carry with you, and that you can reuse. So again, I think that would be a trainer's perspective. But maybe, Tanya, you have another answer for that.
What I can say is that from the array of and range of publications that we develop, tickets are always going out like hot potatoes, because especially people who want to work at local level, they are produced for people, for small organizations. They're not produced for people who have access to everything. They know how to select what to do. Also, all these publications, including the tickets, are available online for download. So if you are more comfortable using a digital version of it, you will find it in PDF and select what you want to use. But that is the reason the tickets continue to be produced in this format, A4, for people to literally read a little bit, inform themselves well, and get guidance of how to organize activities directly using this resource. So that is the reason.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
I think it's always very fascinating how many resources there are actually, and how little sometimes people know about it. Because when I started on youth work, it was like people really lacked kind of these kits, or like they didn't know about it, or I don't know. So I'm always, when I come to these events, I'm so fascinated what kind of rich resources there really are. And I really want to applaud you that you created that, because I think it's very useful, and I will definitely share that with some of my colleagues as well, because it will be like the perfect guide for them to have it from the start to the end, like a real guideline for doing youth work. So yeah, it's fascinating. I think it's so nice that you put in the energy, and it's really worth it, I feel like.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Do you already have plans for translated versions? I know that we translated one of the tickets, so maybe it might be useful for the others to know that it is possible to translate them in their national language.
So actually, if our colleague can project again the page, you will see that there we have the first version of the ticket translated. All the translated versions we upload. What we do and what we propose, if you can scroll down on the page, you see this first version of it has been translated in many languages. We always encourage translations. We cannot do it ourselves in many languages, but what we can offer is to do the quality check of the translation and to give permission sometime, or we negotiate to see the layout. Quite a lot of national agencies of Erasmus Plus in the past were doing that kind of work. They would select, let's say, for example, I don't know, according to the national context, sustainability and youth work is very important. So we want to translate this ticket number 13. So then they would contact us. So you are welcome to do it. You are welcome to contact us, and then we can see how this can be organized. I mean, organizations that have that capacity, of course.
Okay. Thank you. Maybe you can invite Mara then.
Yes, and we would like to also take the opportunity that we have Mara from the European Youth Foundation here. Mara has also been helping on this ticket in particular. She did peer reviewing. So every time we ask experts like Bogdan in this case and his colleague Sebastian to put together a ticket, we do a second layer of peer reviewing. So we give it to people who might be good on that topic or might have worked on that topic to give some feedback and improve it. And so Mara has done it also for several of the tickets, including this one. But her role, her connection to the European Youth Foundation, which funds youth-led projects, is really particularly relevant for this ticket. So hopefully Mara can also share from their experience how this ticket can be useful.
Yes, hello everyone. It's a little bit to be here. Well, I don't have much to say. I think the book speaks for itself, and I think you should open it and get curious. What I like about it, because I had to read it a couple of times at least, is that it's flexible. You may get impressed with the number of pages, but it's not like a novel you have to read for a literature exam, basically. You just scroll, you go through it. So I think it provides different things to different kind of people. I know Bogdan said it's for beginners, but in some ways we are all beginners in this, because I deeply think that people don't necessarily think in projects. You want to do something, you don't say, oh, by this time I want to get there, and my means of verification which is a term you will find in the toolkit, are this, this, and this. So I think it does offer nice guidance to the young people, and I would really invite you to spread it. We will also do our part. We actually will send it by post, old style post, but hey, it's still working to the grantee organizations. And I think for us as a donor, it's also very nice to be able to say to organizations where they're like, well, but what do you mean by objectives, or how precise should that be, to also say, well, have a look here, as opposed to, Chat GPT it or Google it or something, because I think it's also a matter of quality for me. There is a lot of information, but some of it is not so good. And this project idea and project management does not come from the youth sector necessarily. It comes from the industry, it comes from business, and it's not always, let's say very much what happens in youth work. So having this as a tool could be very nice. I just want to also say that to me it's also a toolkit that demystifies project management in a sense. It is called project management, but it's project management that a non-specialist, a person that doesn't have a master degree in project management can actually use and adapt. And there are lots of helps and lots of graphs. I like graphs a lot, and I usually read through graphs. So I think it does offer different things to different people. And that's, I think, the beauty of European cooperation. You can take different things that suit you, and as much as it suits you. So for us, it's really a great help. And I hope it will be a great help also for the youth organizations we are serving and we are there for. So yeah, please get curious about it, and especially spread it to others, because you are here also because you are experts in many things. There might be others that also need to learn. So be generous in spreading it. And maybe in some years you will give some feedback and there will be another edition and so on. So these are also living tools, and I hope you give them their own life in your own work. Thank you.
So on my behalf and also on behalf of Sebastian, my colleague with whom I work on this, thank you, Tanya, for this opportunity. It has been an amazing journey for the two of us. It was amazing to see that we could be involved both in the content but also in the design itself. As Mara said, we really insisted on having as many visuals as possible to make it not text heavy, but like really light. And we are happy that this is here. Enjoy and make sure that the young people you work with get their hands on this or the PDF version to make really their dreams come true in their own community and to make change, because that's one of the things that we really insisted in the definition of a youth project, that it is all that you see in the business side, but there is a social change at the end of the actions that young people can do. Thank you very much to all of you.